Namaskar viewers, hello and welcome to Sansad TV. I'm Tina Jha, you're watching Perspective. At a time when the world is witnessing rapid digital transformation, the focus on ensuring that technology serves as a bridge and not as a barrier has never been more crucial. Speaking at the 68th Commonwealth Parliamentary Association Conference in Barbados, Lok Sabha Speaker Birla urged parliamentarians from Commonwealth countries to promote the responsible and ethical use of artificial intelligence while working together to bridge the digital divide. Chairing a workshop on leveraging technology, enhancing democracy through digital transformation and tackling the digital divide, the Lok Sabha Speaker highlighted how India's Parliament has undergone a remarkable transformation from a traditional system to now a more dynamic e-Parliament. He emphasized initiatives like Digital Sansad, AI-enabled e-library, speech-to-text reporting, and the upcoming real-time AI translation system, Sansad Bhashini, asserting that these AI-driven innovations are making India's parliamentary processes more efficient, inclusive, and participatory. Also underlining that democracy is at its strongest when citizens are deeply engaged with their parliament, the Speaker said technology is playing a vital role in deepening that connection. So on the program today, we'll talk about how technological progress and the application of e-Parliament have brought about major transformative shifts in the functioning of our parliamentary democracy, but also at the same time how through cooperation and knowledge sharing, countries can ensure that technology truly becomes a bridge, not a barrier. Joining me for a conversation are three distinguished guests. So let me begin by introducing them to you. Delighted to have with us on the program Mr. Sujit Kumar, Member of Parliament. He represents the BJP in the Rajya Sabha. Mr. Kumar, glad to have you with us on the telecast. Thank you for joining us on the program. Also with us is Ms. Khushbu Jain, Advocate Supreme Court. She's also a digital expert. Ms. Jain, thank you for your time. Welcome to the program. And the third guest we have is Ambassador Suresh K. Goyal. He's a former diplomat ambassador. Thank you for your time. Welcome to the program as well. Let's begin the program today with you, Mr. Kumar. So at the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association Conference, the Lok Sabha Speaker did speak about how technological progress has transformed the functioning of the Indian Parliament. Now, from your experience as a Member of Parliament, share with us and our viewers, how has this digital transformation changed the way you work, access information, and most importantly, engage with the citizens of the country?
Tina ji, see, the digital empowerment of the parliament or the parliamentarians is yet another step in the process of India becoming a $1 trillion digital economy. I can give you two concrete examples as to how the parliament has adopted technology in a massive way. First is already that you have referred to the Digital Bhashini. Just a year ago, any member of parliament, if he or she had to speak in any language other than Hindi or English, then the MP had to give a one-day notice period to the Parliament Secretariat, because the Parliament Secretariat had to arrange for translators, transcribers. But today, a member of Parliament can speak in any of the 11 out of the 22 official languages, and it's translated and transcribed real time by leveraging AI. And I was part of a committee which was constituted by the Parliament to implement this. So we took help of Meta, Google, IIT Madras was our knowledge partner, and Bhashini, Anubadini, again another app of the Ministry of Education. Bhashini is an app of METI. So we integrated the best practices, the best offering of all these tech players and applications, and today we have, I'm proud to say that an MP can speak in any of the 11 languages. Why not 22? Why 11, you might ask? It's because we do not have adequate data sets for the other languages, for Santali, for example, or Dogri or Nepali, for example. But it's a matter of time. As we have more and more data sets, as the model evolves, it's only a matter of time that an MP can speak in any of the 22 official languages. No other parliament in the world can offer this kind of flexibility to an MP. Number one. Number two, today there is virtually no usage of paper in the parliament, whether it's the filing of the 0 hour, question hour, special mentions, or in the bills that were given to us in physical form a year ago. Today almost everything is paperless. So real sense, Indian Parliament has become an e-Parliament. Oftentimes we hear of becoming e-offices, becoming e-offices, but but still we see large usage of paper in even in those offices or entities. But Indian Parliament, I'm so proud to say, is an e-Parliament in the real sense. So these are some of the tangible practices that the Indian Parliament has adopted, and I'm so proud that our Honorable Lok Sabha Speaker mentioned this at the CPA in Barbados.
It's remarkable how you spoke about the Bhashini innovation is something which is shaping inclusivity in so many ways. It's also promoting and encouraging linguistic diversity, something that we're extremely proud of. But before we proceed with the conversation and before I go to the next guest, Mr. Kumar, also talk to us about how have innovations like AI-enabled library helped members of the Parliament become more effective, better informed in debates, also in policy making?
Yes. Oftentimes ministers would be at a loss to answer queries of the MPs on the floor of the House during question hour, because they didn't really know what the previous minister answered, even if the minister was of the same party 3 months ago, if there was a different minister, or 2 years ago, if there was a different minister. But today, every answer given by any minister on the floor of the House has been digitized. So let's say if I'm the education minister today, and if I'm answering a specific query of an MP, then at the instant moment I can know what I myself 2 years ago, if I were the minister then, had answered or had replied to the nation on the floor of the House, or my predecessor had said on a specific issue. So this has really improved the parliamentary debate, number one. Number two, Parliament has one of the largest libraries in the country. Unfortunately, most MPs don't have the time to go physically to the Parliament building. We have a PLB, as you know, Tinaji, but most MPs don't make use of the facilities offered to us, because obviously because of paucity of time. There are multiple demands on an MP's life.
Yes.
But now with the e-library, with the parliamentary records, all the books, all the documents available to us on our laptops, on our iPad, it has become much easier for us to refer to the e-documents while on the travel, while on the plane, waiting for the flight to take off in the lounge. We are able to access this. So definitely the parliamentary process has become more efficient, inclusive, participatory, and parliamentarians are now, I guess, better informed and are able to make the best use of the the facilities and the offerings that the government and the parliament secretariat provides to us.
Certainly, and all of these initiatives and the kind of impact that they've had on the lives, at least, and the functioning of the members of Parliament was aptly highlighted by the Lok Sabha Speaker at the 68th CPA in Barbados. But another aspect that he spoke about, Ms. Khushbu Jain, I'll take that question to you. The Speaker spoke about promoting the responsible and ethical use of artificial intelligence. Now, the question to you is, as AI and the related technologies become more and more deeply embedded in our governance, in our democratic institutions, what are some of the key principles that we are sort of upholding to ensure that these systems are free, fair, inclusive, most importantly, transparent and accountable?
It's a very good question, Neha, that you have raised, and it's a very valid point that we need to look into right now when we are inculcating AI, and we are seeing how promising AI has become when it comes to absolute reaching to or strengthening our democracy to a strength that we could. With that comes the aspect that how this technology can impact negatively, or what are the challenges one has to look into. And the first and foremost that comes is the ethics, the ethical AI, because when you talk about AI, it actually works on the data set, it works on the technology, and this technology is purely a black box kind of a technology. When I say black box, it lacks transparency, because something which is not visible, it happens on the behind. There are a lot of data sets on which these AI models are built, and little change here and there into it is where the output can be can be at times biased. It can be at time systematically somebody can have things in place where it cannot give you or yield you the results that for which it was being created. That brings in the aspect, or it can have a systematic disruption as well. That means it can have a targeted attack on the translation infrastructure. For an example, now, I'm not saying that we don't have a foolproof system, but I'm just talking about the technology, that when you bring in technology, there is always an aspect of security. There is always an aspect of how that technology should be utilized, the ethical part of it. And that's where I'm giving one example, that let's say an example of a systematic disruption. We have seen how cyber attacks have happened all over in the world when it comes to critical infrastructure as well, and how it can impact. With that, let's say a targeted attack on a translation infrastructure. Now, this could block the communication across all language group. It can halt your proceedings. It can sow confusion during the critical debates or the vote. That's what I'm talking about, that with this comes the aspect of security, the challenges it can bring in, the black box, the transparency aspect of it, which has to be looked upon right now. And I think that's where the whole world is coming together. And the Commonwealth debate was also circling around the ethics and the use of ethics when you talk about usage of AI. Another example which I'll give you is if manipulation aspect of it, let's say there is a communication that is happening, though if you're relying, if there is any compromise that happen in that system, it can inculcate false, misleading, or an hostile content into a debate, into a committee meeting, or into an official document for that matter, and it can distort the legislative intent and entire public records for that matter, and can have a devastating effect. Apart from effect, it can even have a loss of public trust in that matter. So I think biasness, the security aspect, the usage of AI, which is ethical, that means it is equal for everybody, and it is utilized for better purpose for which it has been created. It should not be used for the purpose which is not predefined the purpose of an AI, because today we are sitting where we are still seeing just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to what are the capabilities of the AI. Tomorrow when we come,
and especially when we are seeing AI becoming more and more central to our public services, it's important that we also have a roadmap on how to balance between the gains that we have from these systems, but at the same time, how we safeguard privacy, how we ensure that citizen data is not misused. So we'll delve deeper into that aspect in the next round. Let me bring in Ambassador, get his perspective on another aspect that the speaker focused on while speaking about responsible and ethical use of AI, and also stressing on how technology should be a tool for empowerment, not to create divisions in the society. He called on the Commonwealth countries to cooperate, to share knowledge, to ensure that technology becomes that bridge, it does not become the barrier. How significant, Ambassador, is this message in the global context today, given India's stature, India's policy of development assistance, especially among the developing democracies?
It's a very good idea. And I think really what the speaker said in the conference, CPA conference there, is actually what we need to do today. I would simply say one thing here. And because I'm a foreign policy person, I will speak from the foreign policy angle. What we need to do really is identify what our strengths are and use those strengths in terms of building bridges and connectivity with the other countries, like-minded countries, who can work with us in terms of what our own, I hate to use the word ambitions, because India is a rising power, and therefore we have ambitions or national interest. But I think the ambition is a better word here. And in that sense, I think what the speaker said is that India can work in terms of creating the kind of bridge or connectivity with the countries who need to build their capabilities in this area. The Honorable Member of Parliament is here, and he would recall from his own experience that we used to conduct the kind of workshops or seminars or programs of training the members of parliament and the officials from the other countries in the parliamentary processes, like the Rajya Sabha officials or Lok Sabha officials, in training them on the processes and the work concerned. I think I do not know if we have a program in the Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha or the parliament as a whole at the moment on imparting the necessary knowledge and expertise to other countries like Barbados or Jamaica, or even, in fact, I would even say countries in Europe, on the processes where the digital technologies, you talked about Bhashini, translation software, and all those things. If they can be actually given that knowledge and expertise in training on how to digitalize their own processes, I think that would be a big gain for India in terms of our own connections and connectivity to other parliament. Number two, while we are doing that, really speaking, I think our own, at the moment, frankly speaking, if I look at the digital technologies, only two countries come to my mind, China or India. India is a democracy with a parliament, and therefore, in terms of what we are doing, should make us really a recognizable entity amongst the democratic countries. But there are challenges, and we need to be aware of the challenges. We will come to that in the second round.
In fact, Ambassador, you spoke
Yes.
about training and sort of AI literacy. If I'm not wrong, Ms. Khushbu Jain, when we say AI for all, we do have a provision wherein we are aiming to provide training to 1 million citizens, trying to make them friendly with the tools that we are currently using. If you could explain to us and our viewers briefly about what this training program is all about, and which group of people, and does it include those in the public services where we have begun to use AI more and more effectively for efficient and inclusive purposes?
I think that there is also a provision when you talk about the National E-Governance Division under the Ministry of Information and Technology has launched something called as AI in Governance. Now, these are the training programs in partnership with IIT Delhi to build capacity among government officials and parliamentary staff. And the curriculum, if you look into it, it covers AI policy framework, ethical and legal considerations, and also an hands-on use in on cases in public service. Like, for example, if you look into it, the Uttar Pradesh state lawmakers were offered, optional AI training sessions with modules crafted by academic partnership with IIT Kanpur. Now, these sessions were practically talking about AI, legal research, comparative analysis on law, and real monitoring of government schemes. Now, there are also more training and skills that are going on when it comes to core skill development, broader and national efforts, which are global efforts, which are there when you talk about parliamentary networks and inter-parliamentary union, which will develop models for flexible actionable AI and data literacy programs tailored to those specific needs. If you look into it, all these are focusing on the part of training them how to utilize it, and at the same time talking about the core principles such as fairness and non-discrimination, transparency, accountability and their responsibility, and also the aspect of privacy and data protection. And one thing I think none of us should forget, the aspect of human oversight, because when you talk about technology, I think the training has an part of an element where a human oversight in anything which AI is doing is something which is very important. What do you mean by human oversight? That means AI should support, it should not replace the human judgment when it comes to critical decision making, when it comes to cross-checking, when it comes to doing instant check where you understand that whether there is a biasness, where there is a discrimination, or is there any kind of output that is coming which is not what it is meant for. So those things should be there so that humans remain accountable when it comes to those outcomes that we are looking into.
In fact, what you're talking about is something that Mr. Sujit Kumar has also mentioned in his book AI on Trial. So let me take that question across to him, Mr. Kumar, in context of what you've written in your book. But for those who have not been able to lay their hands on that book and read that book until now, tell us about what kind of ethical frameworks should be put in place to ensure that AI complements human judgment rather than replacing it. And especially in the Indian context, areas like governance, law, justice, the public institutions largely?
Yeah, Tina ji, before I answer this, let me quickly talk about the training with regards to parliamentarians or otherwise on AI. We know about PRIDE, Parliamentary Research Institute for Developing Economies, which has done a wonderful job of training not only Indian MPs but also MPs from developing countries, and also probationers of All India Services or Central Services on technology generally and AI specifically. And I have been on the trainer. I've been a trainer myself for many of these training programs. Number two, the budget this year, Honorable Finance Minister has announced a package of 10,300 odd crores for the India AI mission. And part of that mission is to take AI to 500,000 schools, which is 5 lakh schools across the country. These are the primary schools, upper primary, secondary schools. So our kids, our children would also not lag behind when it comes to AI awareness and AI training. So a lot of things are being done. NSDC, National Skill Development Council, has initiated a lot of short-term programs. So a lot is being done in the country with regards to AI training. And I must really compliment our Honorable Prime Minister, who understands technology like probably no other leader does. And because of the leadership that he has provided, India has really adopted AI in a massive way. Coming back to your specific query about issues of ethics, privacy, data privacy, accountability, culpability, transparency, equity, and all. Yes, I have explored these issues in the book. Madam Khushbu was talking about human oversight. I can cite a very comical example of the ITAT, the Income Tax Appellate Tribunal of Bangalore, which I think you might be the viewers might have heard of this. A few months back, the ITAT. So there was a dispute between two parties with regards to a tax matter, and they gave the written submissions to the tribunal, and the tribunal fed these written submissions into a chat GPT and asked it to write a judgment, and the bench pronounced the judgment in the open forum. The funny thing, and cited 3 Supreme Court judgments and 1 Madras High Court judgment. The funny thing is, none of these judgments are in existence. Okay, so basically the chat GPT hallucinated. Okay, so and then the Supreme Court was made aware of this, and then the Supreme Court took a very stern view of this, and now I have a law firm myself, and the clients are demanding as to what percentage of our legal counsel or legal inputs given to the client is from AI. We have to give that disclaimer. And so this kind of issues are there. Now in the US, there was an episode where a 14-year-old boy committed suicide, being prompted and motivated by a AI model, AI application called character.ai. This happened, I think, in 2024 October. Now abetment to suicide is an offense. Section 309. Khushbu, is it 309? IPC?
No, 309 IPC, but BNS it's
now it's BNS, it must have changed.
So in most jurisdictions, it's an offense, abetment to suicide. But the challenge is the accused has to be a human person. But in this case, the character.ai, the chat. The chatbot, the AI application that I'm talking about, is not a human person. So who is culpable here? Who is liable here? Who can be prosecuted? Whether it's the software engineers sitting in Bangalore or Silicon Valley who have written these lines of code, or the startup company which has developed this chatbot. Who is liable here? We don't know, because these are issues which we are grappling with. So unless we have a robust regulatory framework, and that is what I have been arguing, and that is what I have argued in my book as well, AI on Trial, that we need to define legal personhood for AI. We need to come up with new regulatory frameworks, because unless we develop regulatory frameworks of our own as a nation, then we'll be compelled to develop to follow the frameworks which are developed by China or the EU or US. But or to be honest to government of India, to be fair to government of India, most of these countries are still grappling with these issues of regulatory framework, of legal jurisprudence when it comes to issues of AI-enabled offences, AI-enabled crime. So yes, as a nation, we have to start thinking on these issues, and also because we have many fault lines. We have a society which is caste-ridden, which is language. There is language rift. There are developmental challenges. So we have to develop our own models. We may not go for large language models. It's okay if we develop contextual, situation specific, development specific, small language models, but regulatory framework has to be robust. I think that is what the Indian Parliament should really take care of. And
absolutely. And at the global level also, Ambassador, India is promoting a vision of ethical AI for the larger good of humanity, something that the Speaker has spoken about. We've heard the Prime Minister often assert about AI for all, AI for humanity, AI for development. how can this be translated into a global framework, perhaps through platforms like the Commonwealth, where the Speaker made the assertions, and especially in context of countries like India? I don't know if any other country would be willing to share the best of technology, but because it aligns with our policy of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, so perhaps we are willing to share the best practices and build capacity together?
Tina, I think what you said is being very, very ambitious. I'm being very honest about it because we are talking about the whole thing, technology, in a kind of a context where we think that the technology will behave exactly in the manner that we want it to behave. It doesn't happen all the time. I'm a physics graduate and we have grappled with all these things, and sometimes we really come to a dead end. Two things that I would like to say here. Number one, Khushbu had mentioned about the training program that they're conducting. I would really suggest that that kind of a training program should not be limited to just the domestic Indian parliamentarians or Indian personnel, but we should use the same kind of a thing with the other countries. Maybe we can begin with the Commonwealth and go to the other countries, because the whole issue is really about developing Indian connections, Indian resilience, Indian leverages internationally. Number one. Number two, you mentioned the word AI ethically. What is ethical AI? AI does not know about the ethics. AI is completely neutral. It is gender neutral. It is AI neutral. It is neutral to everything else. It depends really upon the large language model. Whatever data has been fed into the system, AI works on that and comes up. The member of parliament mentioned about IT-80 in Bangalore. How did it come up with those 3 judgments given by the Supreme Court? Because somebody had put the Supreme Court judgments, claiming that there were Supreme Court judgments on the net, and the AI, the large language model, ChatGPT, went onto the net. All it can do is that our memories work at a very slow pace compared to what the AI does. AI can scan millions of data inputs in 1 second. We take a longer time. And therefore, the AI came up with a kind of a report which was completely false. Therefore, when we talk about the AI, it's not ethics that we are talking about. We are talking about how we can use AI to our advantage. Ethics is personal. Ethics has to be given objectively. Objective is the wrong word to use, but the ethics is really human. So we need to basically work on the basis that AI can be a tool in the hands of people who are using it to give ideas and to develop paradigms, if I can say so, on the basis of where they want to be. Ethics is for the leaders.
I think that's where the assertion has been from our leaders, that ethical AI is basically ethics of the person using the AI, and
absolutely,
it should be person-centric, it should be human-centric.
Absolutely.
And when we say we are already in that AI era, the one thing that India believes must be done in the future as well, and work for which must begin now, is to ensure that technology, AI tools must remain human-centric, and their most important purpose should be to serve citizens and unite societies, not break societies. So I think that's the larger message. Time allows me to take up only that much on the program. Thank you once again to all my guests for joining us on the show today, sharing your thoughts, your views with us and our viewers. To you viewers, thank you very much for your time as well.
संसद टीवी के और भी प्रोग्राम्स देखने के लिए सब्सक्राइब करें हमारा YouTube चैनल, और हाँ, इन्हें लाइक और शेयर करना ना भूलें।